My name is Elaine Elinson, and I am a writer and a former union organizer, and I worked for the ACLU for many years. I'm a big fan of City Lights and of Rad American Women A-Z. Today I'll be reading about Lucy Parsons. L is for Lucy. Lucy Gonzalez Parsons was born in Texas during the Civil War era. She was of Native American, Mexican, and African American ancestry. Little is known about her early years, but her parents might have been slaves. When she grew up, Lucy married a white man named Albert Parsons, even though it was against the law for people of different races to get married in Texas. After Albert faced violent threats for helping former slaves register to vote, they knew they had to leave the state. The couple moved north to Chicago, where men were building railroads, homes, and roads, and women were working in factories. Lucy watched as poor people worked long hours, desperately trying to make enough money to feed their families, while the wealthy people who owned the factories and railroads lived comfortable lives. Lucy and Albert joined organizations that aimed to improve conditions for workers. Strong-willed Lucy led meetings, wrote articles, and gave speeches. She also gave birth to 2 children, and after Albert was fired from his job because of his political activism, she opened her own dress shop to support the family. On May 1st, 1886, Lucy and her family helped lead a march of 80,000 people down the streets of Chicago. They wanted to pass a law that would guarantee workers an 8-hour workday, because there were no limits on how many hours a person was expected to work. Sometimes people were forced to work for 16 hours straight. A few days later, Albert gave a peaceful speech at another rally. When the police came, it turned violent. Albert was arrested, and this became known as the Haymarket Riot. Lucy led the campaign to defend her husband. She traveled around the country and gave 43 speeches in 17 states. The police followed her everywhere, waiting for her outside the meeting halls to try to stop her from speaking. The Chicago police once said she was more dangerous than 10,000 rioters. In the end, Lucy wasn't able to free her husband, but she never gave up her crusade for justice. Lucy spent her life speaking out and writing about workers' rights, racism, and women's issues, fighting to make America a fair place for all. Lucy Parsons. I'm a big admirer of Lucy Parsons. First of all, I'm from Chicago, and so I grew up knowing about the Haymarket Riot, and I always kind of wondered what was behind that. And when I learned it was about people fighting for workers' rights, basically for trade union rights, for the 8-hour day, for some of the very simple things that we take for granted now, I really began to admire those organizers even more. And when I found out that, Lucy Parsons, who in an era when women were not necessarily in the leadership of the trade union movement or many other movements for progressive causes, really was at the forefront, I, just wanted to learn more about her, and when I did, I just wanted to be like her when I grew up. So I was thrilled to find that Lucy Parsons was in this book, L is for Lucy. She's not very well known. She's not written about very much, and some of the women in the book are quite well known, like, say, Dolores Huerta or Rachel Carson, and some are not that well known. And I thought, hooray for the people who wrote this book and that made Lucy, gave her the voice that she really deserves. And we all need to learn about her courage and her boldness and, her standing up for women's rights and First of all, I think if a young girl or a young woman wants to be a rad American woman, that's a great goal. That is a really terrific goal, to want to stand up for issues, causes that may not be popular, that may not make them popular, but that they know in their heart are just. So I would say that you want to really believe in yourself, and you want to learn about other women, which is partly why I think this book is so very valuable. I remember this book actually reminded me of when I used to go to the library as a kid in Chicago, and there was a shelf of orange biographies, and I grabbed all the women. There was Amelia Earhart, there was Jane Addams, there was Sacagawea, there was Clara Barton, and you know, it was at a time when, again, women were not in the forefront politically, but reading about other women who sort of boldly, you know, faced disparagement, political stonewalling, sometimes isolation, even from their own families, was very inspiring to me. And so I would say, believe in yourself, join hands with your sisters, and stand up for what you believe in, and you will be able to create a better world.